All right, today we're going to talk about something that's so critical in project management, but honestly, it often gets overlooked. We're talking about stakeholder engagement. This is all about the people, you know? It's that unseen factor that can make or break even the most well-laid plans. So let's get right into it. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been on a project that had everything going for it? I mean, the perfect plan, the A-team, a solid budget, and it still went off the rails? So frustrating, right? Well, the answer usually isn't in the what of the project, but in the who. It's all about what happens when the people involved, your stakeholders, just aren't really on board. And that brings us to the first big idea I want to share. We have to start thinking about poor stakeholder engagement as a massive, unseen project risk. Seriously, it's like this hidden variable that can quietly sabotage everything you're working on if you're not paying really close attention. And look, when your stakeholders are disengaged, it's not just some vague feeling. It leads to real, tangible problems. You get these critical misunderstandings about what's actually needed. You miss out on incredible ideas and feedback. And then, bam, you hit this wall of unexpected resistance to change. Any one of those things can be enough to cause the whole project to fail. But, okay, it's not all doom and gloom. Far from it. The solution here is to get ahead of the problem. Be proactive, not reactive. We need to start treating stakeholder engagement like the strategic discipline it is. Honestly, it's kind of like an art form. So what is it officially? Well, let's look at the industry standard. The Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, you might know it as BBOK, defines it as the process of working with stakeholders to understand their interests, needs, and concerns. But here's the part I want you to really focus on throughout the project lifecycle. This is so key. It means this is not a one-time thing you do at the beginning. It's constant. So you might be thinking, okay, that sounds like a lot of work. And it is, but the payoff, it's huge. When you get this right, you're empowering your stakeholders to make smarter decisions. You're encouraging them to actually contribute, not just sit on the sidelines. It dramatically cuts down on conflicts and, maybe most importantly, it keeps everyone aligned and pulling in the same direction. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, it all starts with a really solid plan. I want you to think of this as creating the actual blueprint for your entire engagement strategy. This is the foundational work that's going to set you up for success later on. And the very first step, the cornerstone of your entire blueprint, is doing a thorough stakeholder analysis. I mean, think about it. You can't possibly engage people if you don't fundamentally understand who they are, what they care about, and what they need from this project. It all starts here. A fantastic tool for this is the Power/Interest Grid. It's a classic for a reason. It's such a simple visual way to categorize your stakeholders so you know where to focus your energy. You can quickly see who has high power and high interest. Those are the folks you need to manage closely. And who has lower power and interest? Well, maybe you just need to keep informed. This little grid brings so much clarity right away. Another amazing tool is the RACI matrix. It stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. This thing is a lifesaver for getting rid of confusion. By mapping out exactly who does what for every big task, you eliminate all that guesswork. Who's actually doing the work? Who's the one person accountable for it? Who just needs to be in the loop? Getting this clear from the start will prevent so many headaches, trust me. Now here's a really important distinction to make in your plan. Knowing the difference between collaboration and communication. They are not the same thing. Some of your stakeholders need to be in the trenches with you, in workshops, actively collaborating. Others, they just need clear, consistent communication. Think status reports and emails. It's all about tailoring your approach to what each person actually needs. Okay, so we've got our blueprint ready. Now it's time to move from planning to actually doing. This is the management phase. This is where we execute our playbook every single day, and just as importantly, where we adapt as we go. The management phase is really a continuous cycle. First, you execute your plan, and that means focusing on building real relationships. Second, you are constantly monitoring and adjusting. You have to ask yourself, is this working? The only way to know is to actively ask for feedback. And third, you manage conflict. And it will happen. That's okay. The trick is to spot it early and use things like mediation to work through it constructively. And you're not doing this blind. There are practical, everyday tools for your playbook. A stakeholder register is awesome for logging and tracking all your interactions. Of course, collaboration tools like Slack or Microsoft Teams are essential for keeping communication flowing. And Simple things like feedback scores or satisfaction surveys can give you the hard data you need to know if you're on the right track. All right, let's bring it all home. We've covered a lot, so let's boil it all down to the absolute essential principles you need to remember for mastering stakeholder engagement. Here are the big takeaways. First, your number one job is to align the project's goals with what your stakeholders expect. Second, you have to deeply understand their roles, their needs, and how much influence they have. Third, establish crystal clear communication strategies right from day one. And finally, and this is so important, always remember this is a living process. You have to continuously adapt as needs and priorities change. So I want to leave you with one final thought to take with you. Think about the most important project you're working on right now. Who is the single most critical stakeholder for that project's success? And more importantly, what is one concrete action you can take this week, maybe even today, to improve your engagement with them? Seriously, answering that question could be the most important thing you do for your project. Thanks so much for tuning in.